Hey guys, Emmanuel here, and before we jump into the video, I just want to ask you guys to hit the subscribe button and leave a like for the algorithm. I really appreciate it. It's good for the channel. I'm going to give you guys a second to do that. Okay, now that that's over, guys, it's been a long offseason, and the Raptors have yet to make a big move in the offseason. We have yet to make a move on any star, right? The Raptors were front runners to land Kevin Durant in the Kevin Durant sweepstakes. They were up there with the Boston Celtics and the Golden State Warriors, but still, we have yet to make that move. Why? I don't like that. We're supposed to be getting better. Because of that, right? I want to make this video to address the people in my comments and the people that keep tweeting at me and telling me that we don't need to get Kevin Durant. We're fine with where we are right now. So I wanted to make this video to highlight where we could be without Kevin Durant and where we could be with Kevin Durant. So this video is how far the Raptors will make it next year in 2023. And it's based on a stipulation. Do we get Kevin Durant or do we not? And I'm going to tell you how far we get with both situations. Now, the current roster of the Toronto Raptors, as it is right now, simply just doesn't cut it. And in the offseason, every team's purpose is to perpetually get better. The players do their part and management does their part. The players go out, they work out with other players, they put in the time in the offseason, and in return, the management, right, they are working their tail off to try and get acquisition and make the team better, whether that's addition by subtraction or addition by a superstar. The Raptors haven't done that, and it's really bothering me because I see and I know where we could be, how good we can be. If the Raptors don't make a move or don't improve here through free agency, through signing or trading for a player, the Raptors will end up exactly where they were last playoffs. They will get bounced out in the first round of the playoffs next year, and I don't want that to happen, right? It was very lackluster last year. I didn't like that, and I know the Raptors can get better because the roster as it sits right now, which is Pascal Siakam, Scottie Barnes, Og Anunoby, Gary Trent Jr., and Fred Vanvleet. That roster is good, but it just isn't great. It isn't good enough. And most people have been telling me that, oh no, it's great, it's good where we are. We just need to sit tight and wait for our stars, our young stars, to get better. It's gonna take a while for Scottie Barnes to be a bona fide star, and we don't even have to get rid of Scottie Barnes. So I don't agree with the people that are saying that we don't need to trade for Kevin Durant and that we are fine the way we are. And I have two major problems with why we can't just sit tight and wait for our young stars to get better. The number one problem, obviously, as I just stated, is we're not going to go anywhere, right? We're going to get bounced out in the first round next year again, and we're not going to be good, right? The Raptors, as they are right now, as the roster is right now, is in no man's land. And if you are a reoccurring viewer of this channel, you know what no man's land is. It's essentially the middle of the pack, in which a team in any sport finds itself in which they're not good enough to make that run. They're not good enough to actually be contenders, but they're also not bad enough to land lottery picks. So you're stuck in the middle of the pack where you always make the playoff, but it's lackluster. You don't do anything. A team that has been in this situation before that everyone's familiar with is the Portland Trail Blazers. Portland has been making the playoffs for how many years now, and yet they stay irrelevant. We are at jeopardy of being the Portland Trail Blazers if we don't do something, right? And so I don't want to get stuck in this stagnation where the Raptors don't get better and we don't do anything, right? So that's my problem with that. And many people purport that we shouldn't trade Kevin Durant for Pascal Siakam, because Pascal Siakam is good and we don't need Kevin Durant. And I couldn't disagree more with you guys, right? I'm going to try and paint the picture here. Pascal Siakam is a good player, but he's no Kevin Durant, obviously. Pascal Siakam has reached his ceiling as a player. And I try to tell people this, and they're always like, oh no, man, he can only go up from here. I try to tell them, listen. The fact that Pascal Siakam ever made All-Star is a miracle. You guys have to realize that Pascal Siakam was drafted 27th overall in a 2016 draft, then sent to the G League, and he had to grind his way to be as good as he is right now. This is as good as it gets for him. All-Star. That's it. Not superstar, not All-NBA, All-Star. And furthermore, Pascal Siakam had a chance to demonstrate just how good he can be this year, right? He was the primary scorer on the Toronto Raptors this year, right? Everyone kind of deferred to him. And he led the Toronto Raptors in scoring. And guess how much he averaged? He averaged 22 points per game. Now that's good for a secondary scorer. That's good for a tertiary score. That's not good for a primary score. You're not going anywhere if your best scorer is scoring 22 points per game. But in contrast to Kevin Durant averaged near 30 points. He averaged 29.9 points per game. Do you guys know just how big, how significant of a jump you would be making if you swap your primary scorer for Kevin Durant? You go from a guy averaging under 25 points, 22 points, to almost 30 points a game. Do you know how much better the Toronto Raptors get? We need to trade Pascal Siakam, 2 first-round picks, for Kevin Durant. And the best part about it is we wouldn't even have to get rid of Scottie Barnes. 2 first-round picks and Pascal Siakam meets the requirement for what the Brooklyn Nets are asking. And do you guys know just everything that Scottie Barnes can learn from Kevin Durant? That team, right? The team consisting of Kevin Durant, Scottie Barnes, Fred VanVleet, Og Anunoby, and Gary Trent Jr. I think that team is good enough to go to the finals. And I'm not being hyperbolic. Why am I not being hyperbolic? Because think about it. Kevin Durant, superstar talent, paired up with a brilliant head coach like Nick Nurse. Nick Nurse is making chicken salad out of chicken you-know-what with the team that he has, the last 2 teams that he's had ever since Kawhi Leonard left. Imagine what he could do if he got another player like Kawhi Leonard and Kevin Durant. Imagine if you paired him up with a really good coach, because I know Kevin Durant was frustrated in Brooklyn. He had a rookie head coach in Steve Nash. He had a dysfunctional organization that had Kyrie Irving on it. They didn't know what to do. They weren't a cohesive team. Steve Nash was out of his league coaching Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. He didn't know what to do, and you could see it in the way they played. They played like they were playing street ball. No cohesiveness, no actual plays, dysfunction in a locker room, dysfunction in the management. That is the polar opposite of what Toronto is. Kevin Durant would get a stellar young star to play with him, Scottie Barnes, to learn from him, get better as he declines. You'd get a stellar, brilliant, one of the best head coaches in the league in Nick Nurse, and a great supporting cast in Fred VanVleet, Og Anunoby, Gary Trent Jr. That team would be good enough to go to the finals, and the edge I would give them is Nick Nurse, Kevin Durant paired up together. I think we'd be able to outcompete the Milwaukee Bucks, the Boston Celtics. We'd be able to, guys, I'm not being hyperbolic. That's how far we get. Now, would the Toronto Raptors win championship? I don't know. Right? It depends on who comes out on the other side. Those Golden State guys look pretty scary, but at least you're putting yourself in a position to compete. And as Kevin Durant declines, Scottie Barnes would be coming into his own. Guys, people that tell me we don't need to make this trade, guys, really think about it for a second. You've fallen in love with a player. You've fallen in love with Pascal Siakam. Let him go for the betterment of the team. I think the Raptors would be able to get to the finals. I think they would be that caliber of a team. I think we could get to the finals if we had Kevin Durant on the team. Not saying they're going to, but we would have the capacity to do so. As opposed to right now, we are, wasting away? Waiting for what? We're not doing anything. Pull the trigger. So, yeah. Guys, those are just my thoughts. If you like this kind of content, this is the channel for you. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and leave your thoughts in the comments below. I want all the smoke. Let me know. Let me hear about it. But until next time, see you next time, kids.